Sac River in Benton, Missouri. We're just outside of St. Louis this afternoon, and a throng of 45,000 fans have converged here to watch this exciting SST World Championship Series race. And the man we've got down in the pits who will be giving you all the insight on the racing action today is our own Wally Shaver, and he's getting set to tell you what's going to happen in today's race this afternoon.
Steve, we're just moments away from the start of the SST 140 race. The current leader in the standings is Harley Wilson, but a man to watch is sitting on the pole today, Mickey Garrett. He's currently third in the point standings. He does definitely need a victory here today to try and close that gap.
Okay, Wally, and as we get a chance to see the giant throng along the shores here, let's take a look at the point standings so far. Harley Wilson in the series so far has the lead. Tony Leatherby right behind him, and Mickey Garrett, the man who put the boat on the pole, in third. And earlier we had a chance to talk to the man who put the boat on the pole, Mickey Garrett.
He's a former winner here at St. Louis. Mickey Garrett, you qualified first on the pole position for the SST race. You have to be pretty comfortable about that.
Yeah, we're real happy about that because that's our competition setup. We didn't do anything extra for qualifying, so that's the way we're going to run the boat tomorrow with this setup.
Now, you have a brand new boat because you had an accident at Lake Charles on the last lap of the race. What is different about this boat from the old one?
Well, this boat is shorter. It's about 18 inches shorter than the other boat and quite a bit lighter. And it's a lot faster than the other boat. And it's a handful to drive, but I feel pretty confident about it. We're going to do pretty good this weekend.
How do you feel about the course here being shallow compared to most of the courses where the water is considerably deeper?
I don't think it makes much difference unless you get on maybe running on a river where you got the deep water, you could get the ground swells and the rollers. But here, I think it's a good course. It's always been a good course at St. Louis.
You have a rather large field here compared to some of the other races. Is that better for you? Do you like racing in traffic?
Oh, I like to run with the best of them. I think the best of them are here.
Mickey Garrett really dialed in. It's his second pole position in the last two races, and he qualified a second ahead of anybody else in the pole. There you see the flare as we get set to go for the race here. We're just within a minute before we start the racing action. Let's get a chance now to take a look at the starting lineups as the drivers now are lined up along the dock and ready to go. There you see Mickey Garrett in the Merton 65. He is the man who has set the pace this weekend. Jim McKay out of Modesto, California in second. Good run for Jerry Gwynn. He's qualified in third spot. Harley Wilson back in fifth. And Danny Critchfield back in seventh. As we see the remainder of this field this afternoon, a beautiful afternoon for racing, a good quality field on hand this afternoon. Wind is about 10 miles an hour. It shouldn't be a factor here. Temperature in the 90s and the humidity in the 80s. So the drivers getting their boats adjusted, their engines adjusted to this humidity. The jets are right. And you can see them as they get set to go. We're just seconds away from starting, and we're underway. As the boats pull away from the dock, they'll all head down into pin number 2. Looking to see who is at the momentum as they head down to the lane. It looks like on the outside it's Mickey Garrett. What acceleration he's picked up. The man from Lakeland, Florida, jumping out to the lane. Now Garrett makes the turn down through pin number 2. It looks like Critchfield back in second place as the boats come through here. And make sure they'll get through in a gaggle as they come at you for a breast now. It's Garrett on the outside, to the left of your screen. Critchfield on the right side. He's trying to narrow line, but it's Garrett who pulls through and grabs the lead. And there Harley Wilson, who qualified fifth, has moved up to third place. Now they come around pin number 1. They head down the front straightaway. It's the shortest boat in the field in the lead. Mickey Garrett out of Lakeland, Florida. And he is really turning the jets on. He told me earlier before the race this boat is very stable in a straight line, but watch out in the corners. And as the boats come through now, we've got the boats with hands up, and the other drivers are signaling there's a problem over in this turn number 2. We'll wait to see now as the boats come through. There seems to be a problem, and there it is. It's the boat that stopped in the water. It's Harley Wilson, the man from Kissimmee, Florida, who is up to third place. Wilson stalled in the water down in that first pit, and he is trying to get the boat started. We're now getting word from Wally down in the pits that what happened actually to Harley Wilson was he spun out in pin number 1, and he stopped. He may be a little dazed now as he tries to get the boat going here. And you can see that the rescue squad coming over and taking a look. Harley Wilson, who has come up with 2 victories on the tour this year already, this last race out, he qualified second and finished second back in Huntington, West Virginia. There the boats heading back for the dock now. We're going to have another restart. Harley Wilson has to be bitterly disappointed. He's going to have to go back to the back of the field when he gets started. And it'll be Mickey Garrett who will come off the pole position one more time. We've got a restart coming here, so don't go away. We'll have more racing action from St. Louis 140s right after this. Well, there you get a chance to sample some of the color here at the SST 140 race this afternoon from St. Louis. We're glad you're on board here this afternoon. And we're getting set to go for the restart. And we'll go down to Raleigh now to recap what's happened so far, the events of this race. So let's go down to the dockside to Wally Shaver.
Steve, as the boats came around after completing the first lap and going into that first turn, Harley Wilson, who was sitting in third position at the time, hit a roller and spun his boat around. He did not leave the boat. He came awful close to going into the drink. They had to stop the race. We will have a race start, but Harley is okay, and since he did not leave the boat, he's been allowed to re-enter the race, but he will be starting in the last position on the restart.
Okay, thanks, Wally. We're getting set to go. The flare has gone off. We are under a minute as we get set for the restart here from St. Louis. Great crowd on hand. Great anticipation for these 17 drivers. And now it looks like it's Harley Wilson who has jumped off at the tail end of the field. He's jumped the start, and now let's go back down to the dock, and here's Wally with Duke Waldrop.
Duke, Harley just took off from the docks early on the restart. What does that mean?
Well, that means that he has got a double case of the nerves. He has already had a restart here, and now they're starting back up, and he's one lap down that.
Speaking of nerves, you know, a restart can be advantageous for some and very disappointing for others. It's a critical move. And here's Wally with Danny Critchfield to tell you about it.
Steve, they found out down at Lake Charles that restarts can really be the difference between winning and losing a race, and it certainly hurt Dan Critchfield. You were running a tremendous race all day long, but on that last restart, you had a little bit of a problem coming off the dock, and it ruined what could have been a perfect day for you.
It sure did. Restarts have been a problem for me all through the year. Sometimes they help you, sometimes they hurt you. Generally, if you're a front-running boat, they're going to hurt you.
Okay, now let's say you're into the docks, you're sitting there, you're waiting. What are you thinking?
Well, you're nervous. You're trying to get your boat lined up, plan what you're going to do. It's a tense moment. It's worse than the original start to me.
Well, this is something new for Danny Critchfield. This being his first year ever in pedal boat racing. He's been racing for 11 years, and he's done well so far in this race. He qualified 7th, and on the first restart, in the first start of the race, actually, he moved himself all the way up to 2nd place. The boats are ready to go. We're set for the restart, and they're on the way. Now as they break away from the dock, we start to watch to see who's going to be the person that grabs the momentum, that grabs away in here. Now on the outside, we can see the red boat of Mickey Garrett as he moves away from Critchfield. But Critchfield is trying to hold the inside line, and we'll see who gets there first. It looks like it's Critchfield as he makes the move. Critchfield in the middle of your screen, that white boat with Garrett now on the outside. So it looks like that Critchfield is the man who has the advantage as they head down to the first bend here after the long straightaway. Now Critchfield coming right at you as he makes the turn. Now Garrett right behind, and off to his left is McKay. So McKay is up to 3rd place as they come through. Look at the advantage already gained by Danny Critchfield. But a man from Tallahassee, Florida, jumping off into the lead as he comes by for the first time after the restart. Now Critchfield, that white boat coming right at you as he makes the turn. Here's Garrett coming by with the smallest boat in the race this afternoon. 14 3/4 inches long. He said before the race is dynamite down the straightaway, but it's very hairy in the corners. And Critchfield now picking up the momentum as he's coming through. You can see the air underneath that boat, gathering that boat up as he comes in full flight. Now makes a beautiful turn down low. Here's Garrett coming by, and right behind him is Jim McKay. So that's your leaderboard right now. Critchfield from Florida in the lane with Mickey Garrett from Lakeland, Florida. So you've got 2 Floridians with a man from California, Jim McKay in 3rd. And now some dicing going on in the mid-pack field here. Some drivers trying to move up the ladder. And you see Terry Letterby going by in boat number 91. As we watch the parade of boats come through, 17 of them have started here in this SST 140 race from St. Louis. As they come through now down the front straightaway. There already you can see the lead that Critchfield's made up on the tail enders. He's already a half a lap ahead. He is really turning the jets up here as he makes the corner now, and one of the fastest portions of the course. Critchfield hugging the pin as he comes through, and McKay dropping back as he is in 3rd place. So Critchfield starting to pull away a little bit. Critchfield told me before the race began that he had on a new engine. He had to break it in, so most of the time in practice and qualifying, he was trying to break the engine in. And also, during qualifying, he had the wrong prop on. It was an inch smaller than what he wanted. He ran out of revs on the straightaway. So after qualifying was over, Critchfield went back to the river, and with nobody else around, as we see, we've gone through 4 laps, Critchfield went out there by himself, put on a new prop, and he gained a second a lap on what he had in qualifying. So he's really turning the pace up. So with Critchfield in the lead, we'll come back with more racing action from St. Louis when we return right after this. Welcoming you back to the SST 140 World Championship Series race from St. Louis this afternoon. Perfect racing conditions, and that's what it looks like with a mob of SST 140 boats coming right at you, doing 110 miles an hour down the straightaway. And there's our current leader, Danny Critchfield from Jacksonville, Florida. And while we were away, Critchfield had his racing visor broken off his helmet. He is now racing without a visor on the helmet. Now let's take a look as he comes at you. You can see the spray that's being kicked up by the other boats. And there he gets a wash as he goes by another boat. What his strategy will have to be now will be to stay out of the way of other boats. Otherwise, he'll be sprayed down and he won't be able to see. And now we see a buoy being pushed back. That's buoy number 4, or turn number 4 here, as it drifted away, and quickly a good job by the rescue people to get that buoy back in place. Now Critchfield, as he comes through again, he is our leader, but now he's going to have to change his race strategy. He's going to have to stay out of the way of boats, and you can see the G-forces on these boats as we check our lap 25. We've got 25 down and 15 to go. McKay in second place, the man from Modesto, California, trying to chip away at Danny Critchfield. A real phenomenon this year on this SST 140 Tour. Critchfield has already had a pole position this year, as we talked about earlier. Only his first year in total boats. Last year he ran mod VPs, and he's got a great racing record in 11 years of racing, and he has won the national championship in E-Production, which is a lot smaller boat. He actually told me before the race that the tunnel boats he enjoys driving more. They're actually easier to drive, he feels. So the man in second place now, we go back to Jim McKay. McKay, who's been racing for 16 years, he's only 26 years old. He's been going since age 10, and his family is a racing family. His sister races A-Stock Hydros as well, and he has 7 national titles. So Critchfield coming through once again. These SST 140 boats are pretty well stocked engines themselves on the back end. They're a 200 horsepower Mercury Mariner engine, and there are limited number of engine modifications are allowed on these boats, not to gain horsepower, but really the advantages are to promote durability and the substitution of plastic reeds and so forth, and ease of maintenance for these drivers. So these drivers don't have to always worry about getting these engines in race tone condition to where they might break. So these reliability is the key factor on these racing engines, and that in turn makes closer racing for the fans to enjoy. Now the drivers coming through turn number 3 as they come down now the long straightaway. Here's Terry Leatherby, who's up into 3rd place. Leatherby, the grandfather out of Rockford, Illinois, and he's been racing for 13 years. He's 34 years old, and he's got a Seabold hull, as does that man there, Jim McKay. So it's the Burgess hull from England out in front, and 2 Seabold hulls that are made just down the road here from this race course in the Seabold factory here in St. Louis. So as we come back, we see Terry Leatherby, a great battle now starting to develop for second place between Leatherby and Jim McKay. As McKay now is hanging on with Leatherby as they battle through. There you can see the boat as it starts to lift. The air underneath acts as a cushion, lifts the boat out of the air. These drivers are actually only at about 1 foot of water in the tail end, and that picks up their speed as they get out of the water, and that creates less resistance with the water, less drag, and it really gets them to fly along the water. And there's a man who's flying along the water, Danny Critchfield. As we go back and look at the crowd one more time, we've got more racing action, so don't go away. We'll be back right after this. We'll be back here in St. Louis for the SST 140 World Championship round. And as we pick things up, we've got 3 laps remaining. And Danny Critchfield, the youngster out of Jacksonville, Florida, is hanging on the lane, and you can see his head waver back and forth. That's the G-forces that kick these drivers around as these boats go around the pins up to 3 and 4 G's high. And Critchfield, so far in this race, has really ruled the roost. He is running away from the field. But it hasn't been an easy race for him so far. About halfway through, he lost his face shield on his helmet. And you can imagine doing 130 miles an hour and having the spray from another boat hit you in the face. It's almost like having needles get you. And he's ducking his way out of the man who had the pole, Mickey Garrett. He's now starting to lap here. And now as we come back, there's Terry Letterby, and we've got a real battle going on here between Letterby on your left and Jim McKay out of Modesto, California on your right. This is the battle for a race here for second place. And now McKay gets the upper hand as he trims through. Boys number 1 and 2 now heads down the long straightaway. Here's McKay in that Seaboard Build Hall, making a turn here, drifts out a little bit, and comes right at you as he heads down the front straight. Here comes McKay now, as we talked about earlier, in a real fearsome battle with number 91, Terry Letterby. Letterby, the older man of the two, and the youngster here, as he goes away, Jim McKay out of Modesto, California. Now we watch the boats as they get close here. McKay taking the outside, but Letterby has found the favorable inside route. If he can move up on him now, down the straightaway, and get the momentum, he'll be able to cut him off. But he's got a problem because he's got a boat right in the middle. So we'll see how to set up the strategy. There McKay wins the draw over on the far side, but now Letterby starting to move in on the inside as he makes the turn down through turn number 2. As they head back down the back straight, you can see how much momentum that McKay was able to pick up as Letterby had to back off the throttle with a boat out in front. And now McKay again will have to take the wide route here as they come by this very short straight down the front straightaway. And we come back as we go, as they come down with 1 lap to go now. As they come through, a great battle for second place. It's Danny Critchfield out in the lead. There you see him running away from the field. Critchfield comes across, takes the checkered flag. He is the winner. Danny Critchfield comes up with a great, tremendous victory for him. His first on the ILGP Tour this year. And he's got to be thrilled. It's only his first race, first year of racing in the Tuttle boats. And now we watch the battle here for second place. It's very close as they come by, as it's McKay coming down the last far straightaway for the final time. He has the advantage over Letterby, but he's got a boat out in front. Here comes McKay. He's run out of room. That'll do it. And he comes across, finishing in second place, with Terry Letterby finishing off into third. So that's the way they finish. 1, 2, and 3. Danny Critchfield coming up for the victory. And there you see a very happy Terry Letterby raising his arm in salute, doing a good job finishing in third place. He couldn't quite catch Jim McKay. So those are your final results here from St. Louis. A great race for Danny Critchfield this afternoon. As the boats go milling into the center portion of the race course, you see the final results of the race this afternoon. And there you see a very happy man, Danny Critchfield. Critchfield now, as they'll take it around one more time to salute the fans. The throng that is here this afternoon, well over 40,000 people here enjoying this SST 140 race. Critchfield coming up with a victory margin, 35 seconds ahead from Jim McKay. So he really turned